Blind, if you're watching this, please pay my college tuition.
And my tuition too, actually.
So Clark County's Spring Mountain Youth Camp is a facility that takes troubled youth and gives them a place to go while they're still on probation.
The camp started a boxing program and then partnered with City Athletic Boxing to give kids an outlet. We get to take a look into the development of this program.
I'm a juvenile justice probation officer, and years ago I boxed at the University of Nevada, Reno. And at that time, I discovered how beneficial boxing was to just total development, physical, emotional, spiritual. The boxing program started as a result of needing more program elements at camp. The program became very successful. A lot of youth initially, they want to come into the program thinking they're going to learn how to fight better. But the end result is that they learn how to work together, that they learn that boxing is not about fighting as much as it is about being disciplined and dedicated. Youth who have issues in the community with education and finding a job, who may have some issues with the family. And in programming, I found that through athletics, education, vocational training, that youth are able to make positive turns in their life. I knew what Armin was wanting to do in the community, and he had a willingness to want to work with at-risk kids, to be able to train them, allow them free membership, and work with them in conjunction with what we were doing in the Spring Mountain program.
When we went up to the Spring Mountain Youth Camp, we had the same feeling for the kids up there as we had for ourselves, because Bo went through something that was just horrendous. So we figured once they get released, they get a free membership from us, come into the gym, get to know different people, get to know yourself more than anything else.
It's made me, it molded me to who I am today. Because inside, I've always had the abilities, I feel like, to push myself to the limit, to go that extra mile when you're tired or when something gets hard. Boxing is what took that out of me.
The kids at Spring Mountain graduate from the program and continue their boxing at City Athletic. Stephen Carson is the first graduate of the program. What an awesome nonprofit in the works.
You can visit our YouTube page to see a more in-depth look at this story.
Sticking with combat sports, one of the most recognizable faces in the UFC lives here and works in Las Vegas. I got a chance to catch up with Forrest Griffin at the UFC gym only the pros can use that he helped design.
So Forrest Griffin is one of the greatest of all time in the UFC. It was 10 years ago that he won the UFC light heavyweight title. Today, he helped develop the UFC Performance Institute.
Since the planning began for the 30,000 square foot facility, the Vice President of Athlete Development has been a major factor.
I had a big influence in making it, so I have made it, and I continue to make it the best for the fighter. So what exactly do athletes need? What would I have wanted? What's going to make these guys better? What's going to elongate their careers, reduce injury, allow them to compete as often as they want, and allow them to, in the end, make more money and be healthier when they retire out of the sport.
Forrest graduated from the University of Georgia with a degree in criminal justice and was a police officer for Richmond County Sheriff's Office in Augusta, Georgia. His career exploded at UNLV's own Cox Pavilion in UFC's first Ultimate Fighter show. His fight against Stephan Bonnar is widely regarded as the most influential fight in MMA history due to it launching the UFC into what it is today. Fighting Rampage Jackson to win the light heavyweight championship to his trilogy fights with Tito Ortiz, Forrest has always been a force in the UFC, and he brings that discipline into his current career.
I was ahead of everything. I had a physical therapist, I had a good nutritionist, I had a good strength coach, and I had great skill coaches. But what I didn't have is anybody to put it together. I was kind of the keeper, and I had all these people, so I showed up and I did this practice as hard as I could, and then I was broken down by the end of the week. I didn't make it to Wednesday. I'm like, man, I'm not doing something right. So So I had no programming, no periodization, no understanding of, long-term linear fashion to try and grow and develop as a fighter to peak at the right time.
Present day, Forrest might be participating and overseeing entire training camps on site, and the UFC has over 560 fighters on the roster, and all of them have the sweetest membership imaginable, including a top-notch cafeteria free of charge.
So Forrest is an author. He's already written 2 books, but it doesn't look like a third one's going to come because he's pretty busy with the wife and family and training a bunch of athletes here at the UFC Performance Institute. For the Rebel Report, this is Casey Carpenter.
So Forrest might also be caught teaching women's self-defense classes locally in his spare time. He actually came outside and was there when I was filming my stand-ups, but he was of little help. I wound up having John Castagnino beat me into submission in the parking lot. Let's send it over to our final panel discussion of the semester.